This week in action.
I enjoys it, mama.
Could be something.
Talk to the developers.
Are you playing with my emotions?
Let's get sad and then get happy.
Too good to be true.
That's not what they did here. When's the money going?
What other horror stories can come of this?
We love 10 cents.
My name is Aaron, owner and operator of the YouTube channel Action RPG, and as always, we have a stellar show planned for you. Above me, these two knuckleheads, these two jokers, these two fine gentlemen are joining me as always. The true leaders and people that run this channel, Daft and Guilty. Say hello.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, yo.
And what we're talking about today is a little MMO versus ARPG. Now, what I mean by that is we wanted to... So last podcast, we talked about end game systems. What makes a good end game system? What end game systems do we want to see in our favorite games? And what makes a bad system? And tonight's topic is we have the ARPG genre, we have the MMORPG genre, or MMORPG genre, basically the PoE or the D2 versus the World of Warcraft. Can these two genres coexist? That is what we're going to be talking about today. ARPG plus MMO D4. We'll get there. We will get to D4. We're gonna massage it in E-way. Now, before we start the discussion, though, on ARPG versus MMO, obviously this is I don't want to say it's a Last Epoch podcast, but we do cover all Last Epoch news. And starting tomorrow, we will be 1 week away from the Rising Flames 0.9.1 update, which is coming May 25th. So we did want to start the podcast tonight on Last Epoch, talk about some news that has recently dropped, and then we're going to move on to this discussion. So it should be a pretty good show, and I'm sure you'll all be just jumping in the entire time. Okay, so let's start with this. Pre-patch hype week. And they always do this, which I actually love that they do this, because this is like a video I can make every single day, and it's just easy, and it helps actually prepare my mind for my streams and what I'm going to do. I hate it when it's like, here's 40 pages of crap to go through. Like, this is easy when it's all nice and straightforward. So anyways, yesterday we found out ladders are coming, and today we got confirmation the new Reaper form is coming. I'm going to turn it over to Daftly first. Ladders, do you care?
I care a little bit. It depends on ultimately how they actually implement them. I don't know how much I'll be trying to compete with other players, but I will use it for some type of, like, monthly type of tier type thing to do. So mildly interested in them. I think it'll be more interesting within Discord and stuff to hear the others who are really into it, to kind of like see how they do and stuff like that.
Got it. So you might dabble in it, but you don't plan on actually competing in it.
Not directly.
Okay. And Mr. Guilty?
I think just from people we have in our community and some neighboring communities like Perry's, we're going to see the top echelons just in those communities there, and we can root them on. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be like watching sports, except for the ad.
And who knows where it could go once it's actually implemented, where people start getting competitive within like people we know. That could be fun. So
this is my concern. I like ladders. I obviously just, kind of competed in the Torchlight Infinite Season 3 ladder, where I was ranked 15th as Bing. And this is different, right? This isn't a ladder where if, Guilty plays for, doesn't sleep for 5 days, he's guaranteed to be number one on the ladder. This isn't a ladder of attrition, right? This is a ladder on the best build and what can take the most hits and dish out the most damage and climb the highest. My
Right.
concern in Last Epoch's ladders is balance and bugs.
What about
Balance
the meta?
bugs. So Daft, who has close to 4,000 hours into Last Epoch, is playing a really fun, strong build, and he can reach ladder wave 500. And a new player that has 20 hours into the game is following a bugged build guide, and they can reach 5,000 wave on the ladder, and now they're a top 10 player. That is my overall concern. Since the game has so many bugs and isn't balanced, how can the game be, how can it be a fair ladder?
They're going to have them on classes, so it'll be, different types of ladders. I think ultimately you just have to, if you care about it personally, if someone's playing a bugged build that gets fixed, in a couple weeks or what have you, it is what it is. It's a video game. Those things are going to get through. You could challenge yourself as another player who doesn't use those to try to beat them, and make your own game within the game. That's the best you could do. So, like what I would do if I was like, oh, he's playing that one build. You can't beat that because it's gonna get nerfed into the ground.
Okay, so I've kind of thought of that too. Is this EHG's way of finding finding imbalance and finding problems, right? It's like,
the meta's going to be the cheapest and easiest thing.
Period. But it's not even meta, because I just want to be clear. Meta is fine. Currently in the game, there are bugged builds that could kill Lagon, before the freaking thing encloses you in.
Right.
Like, I mean, there's some real broken
jank
stuff. There's one thing to say like, oh, I'm playing 084 Auto Bomber and it's fun. And, I feel like that's different than broken. I guess that's ultimately. Now, to answer the question, I'm seeing a couple questions in chat. It's not character based. So the ladder is not character based, but it is group based. So there's going to be this coming Thursday. This coming Thursday, there is going to be 10 ladders that drop. Okay. Softcore solo, softcore account found solo, 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player, and then hardcore solo account found, 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player. And the only requirement is you have to be online because they want it to be fair and nobody's cheating. So it has to be an online character. And this is the new breakdown. It will show you the level of the character. It'll show you the wave that the character got to, and it'll show you the skills they are using, but you cannot see the skill trees. You cannot see the player's gear, and you can't see passives. So they give you a glimpse into the class, but they want the ladder to remain competitive and for people to hide their secrets.
There's just not going to be any secrets because LE Tools exists, and as soon as you see what they're using, they'll be like, "Oh, that's this build."
Wait. Though to keep competition alive, full builds are not currently revealed through the ladder. So things like passive tree, skill trees, and exact gear setup can be kept as a competitive secrets by participating players. Yeah, so competitive secrets.
You can tell by the skill setup what it is.
Well, not always. You
get a good ballpark estimate.
You could be like a bleed build version of something or a fire build. You don't know where where the skill is. In some trees, it won't matter as much. I'll say that. But in some trees, it's like the difference between night and day. So
yeah.
Now, it leaves it there.
Now, when I posted this video, and it, obviously, like, I'm a Last Epoch fanboy, I gave this criticism in the video. I was like, hey, I can give Last Epoch criticism. I don't really plan on playing the ladder because there's so much imbalance and bugs in the game. And there was a lot of negativity in the comment section, not about what I said, but in agreeing with me. Like, why is the HG focused on ladders? Don't ladders, aren't seasons ladders? Like, I don't understand, because the normal notion in an
Right.
action RPG is that a ladder starts at the beginning of a season because everybody needs an even playing field with currency resets and level resets, et cetera,
They
et
could-
cetera.
They could just
Right.
have an all time that's just alongside of it. That each season it gets adjusted. So
Yeah.
certain players may stay up in certain areas. So you could do that just for an
Yeah.
all time ladder.
Now, there
Hogan's
are-
right.
There's two answers to why they're launching the ladder now. Hogan got one. They want to test it and make sure it's ready
Right.
because there will be a fresh ladder, hopefully this year for the 1.0 launch of the game, which will be cycle 1. And the second reason, which feels a little more weird, and that's just the game's always had a ladder. Literally, when it launched in Kickstarter a few months into it, it always had an arena ladder
Oh, yeah.
for wave
Yeah.
pushing. So it's always had a standard ladder. That's never gone away. So
They took it out at what 8.5? It wasn't.
Yeah,
That was a
8.4.
while ago.
no, they took it
8.4?
out 09. They took it out multiplayer.
Was it
Was it
09?
09? Oh,
It was in there the whole time, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, I didn't do it, so
yeah. We did. No, I don't think any of us actually ran arenas unless it was in a Echo.
yeah.
Tech says,
But-
is arenas fixed? It's laggy as hell. I honestly don't know. I have no idea if it's still laggy. I don't know. Lady Medusa says 0.9 BBQ. I wanted it. Well, Lady Medusa is
All
very
right.
excited for the ladder. She
Who
wants to
does
be up
arena?
there.
Lizard does arena.
Lizard
Yes.
is the arena champ. He likes
Yeah.
he likes doing. People like competing. Now, I will
Mhm.
say I like the idea of one person. I'm
He's
sure it's more
competing
than
with
one.
himself.
I like the idea of being able to be competitive. So I think that's fun.
It's good for leveling, Hogan, if you want to do that.
I will
Oh,
say,
yeah.
given the current state of the game, I actually do think it would be more fun if it's like, here is the Necro ladder, here's the Lich ladder. So you can kind of see where, maybe your build stacks up against or your play style or your skill.
I'm pretty Aaron, I'm pretty sure I already have that. They mentioned it.
Do
That
they?
it's going to be, they're going to break it down by different classes so you can compete against your class. Yeah. It's already
Oh, no,
there.
you're right. That is in there.
Tectonics, you can do dungeons to avoid the campaign, kind of like the Mario whistle.
That's true.
You could do dungeons as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to get top 100. It was minimum wave 350. You could hit that. You can hit that. I like just beating my head against the wall, looking for Ravens Rise. I don't have time for arena. Hey, Shadow, did you see how I got Ravens Rise? I'm just curious if you saw it.
That's wrong.
Eating.
I got Ravens Rise a certain way.
That's wrong.
In
Hey,
my,
did
I
everybody know that Guilty got a 4 LP and Aaron didn't?
don't listen to Guilty.
Yeah.
Salt in the wound. I could not find. I found 7 Bastion of Honors before I got my Raven's Rise, and I was recording a video on how to target farm. And so if you go to my YouTube channel and look at Aaron's boot camp videos,
Yeah.
and you watch the video how to target farm, I literally say, I'm looking for Raven's Rise. Now to target farm Raven's Rise, go to this monolith and let me just run this mono. Run it, and then you click on the reward, and the reward was a 1 LP Raven's Rise. So I got it like somehow the game knew I was recording a video. It was
Of course
unbelievable.
it did.
Anyways, there was a question earlier about corruption ladder. Okay. We previously mentioned one of our goals for the new ladder system was to expand its abilities. While in 0.9.1, the ladder will only track arena wave progression. We will continue to develop this in the future. The new ladder system will allow us to grow to monolith progression, experience tracking, corruption tracking events, and potentially much more. So corruption tracking is potentially coming for the ladder later on. And they've said they want
cool.
tons of ladders. So like you hate the arena or you're an experience pusher, you're a runner. This is, you're going to be able to compete how you want to compete.
It's
So,
cool.
that's
It just adds another level of people to like interact with the game.
Yes,
Yeah.
people are going to hit up LE Tools way more now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, you know, more the better, right? People that love ladders, give them tons of options. People that don't like ladders, they're not going to care anyways, right? So I mean, I just think, you know, the more the merrier. But balancing bugs is gonna be a problem because this ladder will not reset until 1.0.
Aaron,
So
that's a classic ARPG problem. It's not exclusive, so you know that's part of the game. It's
I know, but a
balancing.
lot of the comments were like, "I don't understand. The game's early access. It has tons of problems, and it isn't released yet. Why do we need ladders?" And it's like,
So
well, that's a good question.
they have 110 developers.
Plus,
Like plus, yeah, they're still hiring. You can still apply right now.
Right.
I'm pretty sure not all 110 were working on ladders. Probably
Powerful.
one or two.
Powerful Shammy says, if someone wants tons of ladders, just go to Home Depot. So,
Got it, Shammy.
how about a ladder for how many times I run the campaign?
Senior, they're looking for a senior developer right now, and I think they're looking for maybe still artists.
Okay, I'm done with ladders. We're done with that. Moving on. Today, Reaper form coming in Rising Flames. Now, this is an
Very
image
nice.
I have showed off so many times. And people always ask, Aaron, you never play Lich. You only play Necro. Why don't you play Lich? Yeah. And I always said, once this Lich visual is in the game, I will play. And people are always like, why do you care about a visual? And I was like, it has nothing to do with the visual. I was told that Lich is getting an overhaul where we're going to have kind of a revamped fit skill tree and a revamped visual. So I'm not going to spend time learning Lich, knowing that it's going to be completely changing. Well, that being said, we now have the new in-game Lich. Or I'm sorry, the new in-game Reaper form.
That's cool.
It looks clean. That looks clean.
Did what was his name? Oh, I can't believe I forgot his name. Was it
blah, blah, I know the artist.
Nifty?
Nifty.
Did Nifty do the concept for this?
I don't know.
Well,
I
he
don't
did
remember.
the concept for yours. It kind of looks like it. He
He probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks nice.
You
like it.
you enjoy Lich a lot, Daft.
Yeah.
Does this make a difference for you? So you're Lich visually while you're playing.
Oh,
Do you
well,
care
right
or
now-
not really?
I
He
mean-
interviewed the artist Hogan.
Yes, I like it better, and does it matter outside of looks? Not really, but they did add in the reap when you change, so that'll change your movements, like a free bonus movement.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm curious to see what kind of changes they did. Because right now, the one I
this
have
is the
pretty
actual
badass.
in-game
That's cool.
visual. I like the way the
That's
Kinda-
kind of smooth.
cloak or it kind of like sways back and forth as it moves,
Right.
like you're floating, you know?
Because right now you're like a stiff scarecrow flying.
Yes.
It's just
That's
horrible.
pretty neat. I like
That's
the
nice.
particle effects on that too.
Shadows and
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah, I think it looks really, really
if you
good.
guys want to see what Nifty, who that is, Aaron has a video where he co-designed or the artist
Long
and
way
Mike
back
came
now.
on and they developed the look of Aaron's will. And Nifty was sketching up concept art off the fly, like on 3 different models. It's pretty neat. It's a good video.
Daft, if you look closely, it's kind of hard to see, but in the picture you see like the kind of green necrotic in the front.
Right?
And when you see the Reaper form attack at the end here, when it turns, you can kind of see it. It's really small and subtle, but it's for sure
I do
there.
see it. You do see it when it gets that one angle.
Yeah,
Right there.
right
So
there.
that's
Yep.
So they do it's
gonna be
point
nice.
to worlds, and then they do it to a radian, but it's really smooth.
Hogan says, I'm a game artist and I want to work on this game, but you can't get a hold of them.
There's you can apply through their website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe like you apply, but you never hear anything or something.
Yeah, no, it's so there's a story they almost didn't hire Steve, and then Steve had to like say, hey, what's up?
That's true. We talked about that on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, because he didn't include his video game history, how many hours in like Diablo he had.
Yes. And then
By the-
it was golden.
By the way, everybody, just one more little small thing. This is the first time I've ever seen them put this in a post. 1.0 is mentioned in a post. Daft, I don't know. I've heard game launch, or we're moving forward, or we're trying to up the quality. 0.9.1 continues our goal of improving our visuals in Last Epoch, getting things up to our current standards. And with this new Reaper model, we continue to push Last Epoch into its 1.0 era.
I think they had a meeting recently. They're starting to talk about the masteries a little bit more openly, showing us little tidbits of pets. That's possibly cool. And so I think things have been happening, and now they've got a little roadmap of what they're going to show us over the next.
Now it's moving in the correct direction.
Yeah, it feels that way. Getting back to that cadence.
Okay.
Well, we've been complaining for years now.
5 years? No.
I don't know if it was 5 years of complaining, but it's been more than 3.
It feels like it.
The Kickstarter said game launch March 2020.
Hey, Flenser.
2020? 2020. March 2020 was the Kickstarter game launch. So they're pretty close. They're pretty close.
Pretty close. A little behind.
Flenser, thank you for the sub, sir. It's not going off because it's pod 21 months. Man, thank you, sir. Okay. So last thing I will say about Last Epoch, and then we're moving on to tonight's topic. They were supposed to talk about towns, Daphne.
What's that?
Towns.
Was that a feint? A little feint?
So it says originally we were going to be talking about towns today, but they had to switch it out. Now, obviously, we know ladders are coming. We know new Reaper form is coming. They have talked about revamping on Mike's Mike's Friday stream. He's talked about how they want the town area to start feeling alive. So I'm wondering, with 0.91, if you're going to log into the game and in the social areas, you're going to start seeing a lot of people. Very curious.
Multiplayer hubs. That's right, Hogan.
Yeah, just like Path of Exile, kind of where you.
Exactly.
Whoever's in town's there, and you're there.
Yeah, so it's going to be on authoritative servers, so it shouldn't be the P2P lag that people would be expecting normally.
Right.
I really wanted to see this post, but they didn't drop this post, and it's not like the Towns post is coming tomorrow. Towns isn't tomorrow, so I don't know if we're getting a Towns post or not. But I actually really.
A little teaser of sorts.
Tomorrow we are getting the. This is what I was saying during the pre-show. I was like, "Oh, I'm sure people are going to love this." Tomorrow's Hype Week post will be talking about the beta version of the MTX store. I don't know if I've ever heard. I don't know if I've ever heard the word hype and MTX in the same sentence in my entire life.
Mike typed it. That's what he's working on. That's what Mike's been working on, is MTX store,
and the beta. That part's a little funky too. But hey, call it what you will.
I want my panda. I want my panda skin. That's all I care about.
Aaron, play the preview of the Reaper again.
Pink unicorn. Well, they did say we could have a flying giraffe in the Kickstarter, so.
Is that a new VFX with the leaves falling?
The particle effect.
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually, what level is that Reaper on?
Yeah, it's when I first watched this video, besides the Reaper, I just like, where?
That could be a testing.
What zone are we in?
Yeah, what is that flower thing in the middle?
Yeah, that could be a testing playground, or it could be a new biome.
It's like overly schmexy though for just a testing place, I would think. But maybe not. Maybe that's normal.
I can say with complete confidence that this area is not in the game right now.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It reminds me, I don't know, it's cool looking.
Hey, Daft, look at the very beginning of it. There's like a green circle.
Looks like a spire.
Like a starting point or something.
That looks like a spire.
That's it. That's one of the impacts from the spires.
Is that what it is?
That's what it looks like.
You can see it shooting down when you're walking away.
Yeah, but which one shoots a green circle?
I don't know.
There's a poison one, but that seems to be different.
That's a little different looking. It's a little more green, dark greens. This is kind of almost necrotic looking.
I hate it when
Almost.
Hogan notices stuff. I'm looking at the Reaper the whole time. I haven't even noticed that the scene in this, there's this big pulsating Jumanji flower in the middle.
Oh yeah, that the red orange shit.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, it's one of the enemies.
It's a lot of hidden things here that we don't know about.
Yeah, this could be really cool. This could be a new act.
I know a lot of what's coming, but I'm sworn to secrecy, so I can't say anything.
Secrets.
I'm even sworn to
Rather
not
have masteries
say.
than acts.
I'm even sworn to say that I can't say that I said. You know.
Don't said.
Nothing said. Forget it.
But it does
New
look
era,
cool.
The Dino Age area. Next thing I needed is the 10x legendary from that chest. Of course. All right. Done with Reaper form. Done with ladders. Done with Last Epoch. Kind of. We are now moving on to our topic of the day. Now, I want to be clear.
Oh, no.
Starting by pulling up Diablo. This is not a conversation about D4. Okay, it is a conversation about D4.
Welcome all, Aaron.
Okay, this is a conversation. Here we go. I don't know why I started with Diablo 4. Okay, hold on. So the idea, I'm going to set the precedent. Okay. An action RPG. Let's just say Last Epoch. We're going to make it simple. I'm going to take away all ambiguity. Last Epoch.
Game A is L. Game B is D.
Okay.
Wilson.
Actually, no. Forget Diablo. Okay, forget Diablo.
Well, in general, we're talking gaming.
Last Epoch action RPG. World of Warcraft MMORPG.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Daft. Per your definition, what makes an action RPG? Like, what would qualify? Another way would be like, let's say a Diablo-like action RPG.
Okay, few things for me. Generally over the shoulder.
Okay.
Angle.
Isometric view.
Isometric.
Yep. Gear hunt of some sort, where you're gearing and finding and collecting and looting up. Some type of progression, if not two, kind of simultaneous ones.
Okay.
Maybe one that, outside of that, things it has to have. I don't know. Outside of that, not much. That's taking out the structure. That's taking out like a campaign. That's just, but at bare bones, I think those things cover it. There's other things, but those have to be in there for me.
Okay. Guilty.
Right.
Anything you would add, subtract.
So I would. Okay. So far we're tracking. I think you'll just add on to what I'm going to say, but the skill trees, the builds on top of what he's saying are capstone to the Diablo style action RPG, the isometric RPG. Grim Dawn had a unique system, but it wasn't unique. It carried the system from Titan Quest. Those two systems were different than Diablo's, and then you have this has you can choose between three subclasses again, essentially, which is even instead of two, it's three. They have to have some type of complex skill tree to make a unique build with. That's pretty much the hallmark. And then endgame. Endgame is a big deal for me in an ARPG.
Okay.
Yeah.
So much that goes into it. No, I think you guys are both correct. It has to have some kind of character progression. It needs to be an isometric view if you're talking Diablo-like. It has to have loot. Like, it has to have some kind of loot element to it. It needs to have an inventory. It needs to have a crafting system. It needs to have items that I put on my character. Another way to put all that would be some kind of build customization, where there's skills and there's passives. I feel like a lot of times, and let's just take Lost Ark for an example, every character is basically the same. Like, you unlock this gear at this level, and if you want to be a spellcaster, you use these spells. Like, everybody is a carbon copy of each other. Any game that would be like that, I feel like you're losing the action RPG element of it.
That's MMO stuff.
Also, something that I don't think you guys mentioned, which is really important to me, is that for me, an action RPG is normally pathed, which means you're moving from this map to this map, Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3 to Act 4 to whatever to end game. So it's a pathed, non-open world environment. So if I want to run through Act 1 Part 4, I know that when I'm running to that boss or I'm running to kill those 30 wolves for the quest, there will be no one standing there but me.
See, I like to break the campaigns if I can, like Grim Dawn. Go so far and then reverse direction, go the opposite direction towards
you can do that
harder level stuff. Yeah, you go to the higher level stuff, then you can complete the first chapter super fast at like level 30.
And they have that Coliseum area too.
You know, and an example, like, right, so last Epoch, even if you're a brand new player, you could hit level 25, 30, go into the monolith, break it up, go into the arena, right? I mean, you could still break it up, but ultimately the campaign chapters, the main story quest is like a path, non-open world experience, right? I mean, in 95% of action RPGs, right?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
usually they are. Yeah, you're on rails for the most part.
Hakeshu, I did not use it, but I know that you can rotate the camera in Grim Dawn. I just know.
Oh, I used it all the time.
No, it is usable when you're playing it on the Xbox with the controller. That's fine, but on the keyboard and mouse, I don't do it.
So Hogan has a point. You cannot have loot-based games in an MMORPG due to the fact that they lock gear behind dungeons and raids, meaning you can get random drops. Power creep is locked behind progressive dungeons like Mythic and Mythic Plus. That's why Lost Ark sucked at the end. Okay. And we're going to be able to bounce back and forth. So now let's jump over to World of War. Has everybody here played World of Warcraft?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, definitely no.
No, I was reading chat, looking at Twill. Loses, telling me to pay attention to something.
Oh, I lose. Daft, never played World of Warcraft?
Oh, I played World of Warcraft.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so we've all played World of Warcraft. I'm going to give it to Guilty first on this one. When you think of an MMORPG, what comes to mind as far as what is in said game?
Okay, so...
And by the way, I haven't played a ton of World of Warcraft. I think I was a vanilla before it was called vanilla. I think I had a warlock up to level 50.
World of Warcraft.
Exactly. I think I got a warlock to level 50 and then I got off.
Oh.
I was recent all the way up through the first part of was it Shadow whatever. I hated it. I hated Torghast so much I stopped playing. I liked everything else about that expansion. I just hated Torghast. Anyway, I think in an MMO, the builds aren't as varied. You know what you're going to do. Like I'm going to be, for instance, I was an assassin, so I knew what I was going to do as an assassin. You have a skill rotation. You're going to go and get and they probably changed this now because I haven't played in a while, but you're going to go get a third-party app to display when you should the timer so you can hit the button and not actually play the game. You're just going to be the monkey hitting the button because the flashing light told you to. And when to move out of the way and all that. That's what the MMOs have become, especially World of Warcraft.
But wouldn't you say, and again, there's going to be, I really want to talk about the average MMO. There's going to be MMOs that,
it's the standard
are different.
MMO. They've all copied.
But I would say the standard MMO, you really don't have skill trees in the standard
Guild Wars
MMO.
2 is way better, man. Yeah.
Right. You normally, it's like you hit this level, you unlocked this skill, right? Like you don't, and you can't change that. You can't change that skill into a cold and a fire and it's like you unlocked this at this level.
Yeah. It's right. When you were talking about the armor earlier, everyone's like, oh, well, my skill or our gear level is at this. It goes off of gear level, not exactly what your gear is.
So if you were logging in, Daft, to an MMORPG, what would be things you would expect of said game?
The first 10 levels, you'd be in a little tiny zone, killing boars,
killing pigs,
every time.
I always say wolves. Like go kill 20 wolves. It's always wolves.
Because when I played Warcraft, it was
pigs.
towards the end of the beta, and then I played up through Burning Crusade. So it changed a lot. It went from open world PvP to the battleground type stuff. So it changed. It just kind of got boring. But raids, things like that, group synergy. So you're generally going to be playing with your group of friends. One's a healer guy who always plays healer, your DPS guy, et cetera, et cetera. So you're kind of looking for that. When you're solo playing, you'd be just grinding a lot, trying to get whatever gear to go do the raids. So it was more of a kind of like everybody's on the same level early on, and then everybody does their things to make their characters powerful and go off to do the raids. And so it's very set in pace for me.
Yep.
And I played multiple ones like Guild Wars too, so there's variants, but generally that's what I think of for guilds, banks,
right.
all the big city, all these things.
So when I think of an MMO, I think of gathering. So I got to go mine this rock. I got to go find these flowers. I got to go do some kind of materials, acquisition. I feel like the game is obviously open world, and it's not instanced really in any way other than potentially dungeons and raids. So when I have to go kill these 20 wolves, I'm going to be fighting with 10 other people that are trying to kill the same wolves. And we're going to be running around the same freaking area, waiting for the wolves to respawn. Hopefully I get the final blow, right? You guys know what everybody's been there and done that. And then I would normally expect that the MMO would have an end game around dungeons and raids. And personally, I feel that more MMOs than not have a form of open world PvP. And sometimes sometimes it's only in this zone. So like, hey, if you go into this area, you don't have to go into the area, but no, if you choose to go into that area, everyone's red. So you can get attacked. You can attack everywhere. There's normally some form of PvP, and there's normally in an MMO some kind of profession. So like I'm going into blacksmith. I'm going into alchemy. I'm going into farming. I'm going into potion crafting. Like you normally have like not just a mastery, like I'm a necromancer, like you have a profession, like a cook or something along those lines.
The modern MMO, they have like dungeon finders, so you don't even have to play the game. They've streamlined the content, so the content's removed.
More of the modern ones are like single player. You can play most of the content as a single player.
Oh yeah, even the not so modern, like I think one of the first ones to do it like episodic was STO. You can play through the episodes completely solo on that, and it's free.
Yeah.
And if you just want the story, that game is the game to play. If you want to get into like massive like ship battles, and you can do that too. That's when it's not so cut and dry. You're gonna want to do some grinding, but
guilty. You can only name one favorite MMORPG of all time.
Of all time?
And before you answer, fun matters. So not what you think is the best, but what your experience, like what. Oh, you think of that MMO like, man, you remember those memories. You had so much fun. What is your number one?
As far as fun with friends, it would be World of Warcraft around Pandaria, because that's when I had most of my friends playing it. Even though Pandaria wasn't my favorite release, that's when the most of us played. But as far as fun on my own playing with strangers, it was STO and ship battles.
Daft.
Like I was in a German group, and that was really, really fun.
For me, the funnest was Dark Age Camelot. So completely different than what we were talking about, but that was my roommate and I running around in all the little Thid and all the different battle things. It was brilliant. That game was super fun. And then the open world RVR was, we ran an 8-man group and go against Zerg, so it was like a power thing. Our little like super powerful 8 guys just wrecking entire Zergs. Those were fun days.
That sounds fun right now.
Yeah, it was the Guinevere server, if anybody else played.
Oh,
we
interesting.
Hibs.
My number one, which I talk about all the time, is Star Wars Galaxies, like the OG Star Wars Galaxies. That's where me and my friends always played. I was a creature handler. I had multiple rancors, and it was so cool. I could go out into the world where there's like 1 trillion creatures, tame it, and that creature I just tamed is now my mount that I could ride. You know,
Right.
it's just like so many fun parts of that game. But Galaxies is my number. That is my number one. Is my number. I always think like, man, if they remade that, there's been like rumors that like, oh, you know, they're gonna bring back Galaxies, but it probably wouldn't hit the same. You know, that's how it. I feel like that's how
Everything
it
gets
is.
rebooted now. It gets the mechanics and the expectations are so different than the stuff we nostalgically grew up with. It's hard
Right.
sometimes to just go back and like get something that had that vibe and then bring it into the modern world and try to make it updated.
Exactly. Because
Doesn't
also it's like
always
your
work.
friends at the time and the LAN servers and like there's all that
Right.
stuff that it's just different now. It's just different now. Okay. So far, so good. Now I'm actually going to start with Lost Ark. I don't want to go into D4 yet. I'm just not ready. Just not ready for that yet. My
That's
brain.
safe, Eric. That's safe.
I'm
I'm
gonna
proud of you.
Start with Lost Ark. Okay. Now, I don't want to say angry because I never got angry, but I mean, I would get in fairly regular debates how Lost Ark is not an ARPG. I am very sure of this, and people are like,
It is
no,
a mix.
it's
of
an
the two.
ARPG MMO. And I'm like,
MMO.
no, it is
Right.
not. It is literally an MMO that is in isometric view. If you took Lost Ark and dropped it into third person, nobody would say it's an ARPG. You're only basing that off of the view
Point
of
and click.
Diablo.
The
That's
point
it.
and click and the isometric.
That's it. So if
Because you
literally
could
if the
still
camera
have a
angle,
skill
if the
cooldown.
camera angle was different, you're gonna compare it to New World. But since the camera angle's high, you're gonna say it's Diablo-like. Anyways,
Yeah, it even has a skill rotation.
Yep.
It doesn't have your classic ARPG, and the builds aren't that. It's an MMO.
it is an MMO. This is an MMO.
I mean, yes.
I'm sorry. Anyways, do either of you think that there are action RPG elements that we enjoyed in Lost Ark? All three of us played it.
Well,
I liked it. I liked it until it was unlikable.
it's a game I enjoyed until it felt like a job
Oh,
to keep up with our fellow players. Because
Click
some
the
of the
green
players
buttons.
are super active and they were going way far ahead and doing all the things, and I wasn't. So it became a chore. That wasn't fun. And then that's when I stopped, basically.
when we were Daft and I were very involved with our community's group, and we put 40% of our game time that year was Lost Ark.
Oh, yeah.
40% of our total game time, and this guy's played 4,000 hours of LE.
Welcome back to part 2 of This Week in Action Podcast 66. Now,
Wow,
Guilty.
we only lost half of him.
Only
Guilty
half.
had a
Thanks for staying, guys.
internet problem.
Yeah.
Guilty had an internet
And-
problem.
No,
Mhm.
my internet went down. I had to power cycle my router. I don't know what the heck was wrong with it, but we're back up and running. What happened was we started talking about Lost Ark, and they're like, we can't have this on the internet. They killed it. I knew it was guilty. See, exactly. How do we restart how do we get going again now? See, I screwed it all up.
Just start talking about your favorite game, Lost Ark.
Oh, okay. I don't think anybody heard me because at the time the stream went down. We were just talking about, is Lost Ark an MMO or an action RPG or a combination
MMO.
of both? I am a strong believer that it is an MMORPG. A website that I visit every day for gaming news that is part of my daily cycle is MMORPG.com. And it literally hurts my heart when I see this, okay? I just noticed this during stream. Lost Ark, in the middle, it says MMORPG 2022 Player's Choice Action RPG of the Year.
Well, I mean, it might be slighted because it's an MMO website, and they don't really care that it's not quite an ARPG. It just kind of borrowed some ideas that have always been in the games.
But when
Ever
you
played
talk
Path
about
of Exile?
when you talk about, you know, a website called MMORPG.com
My point, yeah.
ranked Lost Ark, or I guess the Player's Choice ARPG of the year, not MMO of the year.
ARPG, action
The
role-playing
Lost Ark
madness.
MMORPG, best ARPG.
Exactly. Like, what the freak? There's a lot of action in Lost Ark, and there are role-playing elements in it. I mean, for sure. I've also heard this argument, like, it is an action game and you role play. So isn't it, you know, like, if you really boil down to what the words are just saying, you know, yes. But that's
Aaron,
not how it's defined.
We are definitely in an era where everything's been sub-genred so much that genres that were originally genres are no longer exist because they've been so diluted.
Mhm.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just how
Streamlines.
games have, you know, gone. They've all old classic games ideas that were great are becoming the newer games now, and they're trying to merge all these different groups, which is cool, you know. So you get some winners and you get some
Guilty. Do you see the
other
last
things.
you see the last chat comment? Oh, are you?
V Rising
No.
Lost Tark.
I can roleplay a dancer and play DDR. Does that make it an ARPG too? Ooh. That's a
Tough
good question. Anyways, yeah. I was just gonna say is that normally when people talk about modern action RPGs, I hear Lost Ark getting brought up. So that's why I wanted to go to this website today. So I feel like on this stream, on this podcast, we have kind of defined what an action RPG is. And I should actually say more of like a Diablo-like action RPG.
Right.
And we have defined what you would normally see in an MMO. Which brings us to the meat and potatoes of this podcast, Diablo 4. Let's get that nice and big for everyone. Oh, that was like really big.
So
I don't want
it
it that big.
doesn't have the skill rotation you would associate with an MMO.
No.
Okay, so right off the bat, if you are talking about loot, hack and slash, item drops, inventory, stash tab, crafting, and skill formation, it's an action RPG, correct? I mean,
I would say this is more of an action RPG by far than
by
Lost Ark.
far.
It
There's no
has
crafting.
MMO elements in it. It's like
That's not true,
hybrid.
Hogan. I can replace a single affix on an item into another affix. It might be
That's
very
kind of like crafting.
it might be very basic crafting, but I mean there is a system in the game to augment items.
And it
Yeah,
could
right.
get elaborated upon, you know.
Yeah,
Right?
they could
Let's
add
not-
to it. They probably
Let's not be
will add
trivial.
to it.
These are all obviously early adaptations of the game, and I kind of
Did
like
you make
I'm on
it
the
from scratch? No.
I'm on the plane
No.
of maybe after a year, I might see where the game is. I
Mhm.
mean, I'll hear about it obviously from the community, but to see how it settles in,
augments it.
what becomes the game itself, right? Like
Yeah.
where it settles in, how the mounts are implemented, how just the game feels. The
I feel
dungeons,
like
that-
maybe a better way to actually start this conversation is what MMO elements are in D4.
Well,
And I
we've
don't know
got some listed. Look at those.
Okay. MMO style map.
Yep. The
Okay.
horse, the mount.
Okay, so you have mounts.
Timed event.
Mhm.
You have mounts.
Raid
You
boss,
have
timed event. Yeah.
open world. You have world bosses,
Multiplayer, obviously.
timed events, multiplayer, but multiplayer I think does cross both, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
So I would say dungeons cross both. I don't think that you see dungeons in one and not the other. Battle Pass kind of crosses both now too.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a battle pass for Path of Exile. Right? Yes.
Is there?
I don't know. I never buy it, but yes. It
I
gives
know
you
they
more
have
skins.
the tiers.
It's
you can buy.
$30. It's $30.
Okay. Never did that part.
So really, it is the open world elements. It is the mount. It is the timed events, and it's the
PoE is
world
free.
boss. Is there anything else? MMO-wise?
Yeah, I would say there is
The PvP style,
the PvP.
where
Yeah,
it's an open world zone, right? They're doing a zone flagged thing. Or is it you go to the zone 2 flag? I don't know.
So
which
they
way
have
it
the
works.
Fields of Hatred, which is going to be the PvP area.
So
I would
always flagged.
say that is certainly more MMO. Yeah,
account
for
level
sure.
activity. Shasta's right. Because if you remember playing like Final Fantasy 14 or anything,
Right.
as soon as you reach a certain level, it opens up new things that you can do, especially in Final
Right.
Fantasy 14.
Okay.
Maybe map completion. Like, yeah, Guild Wars, where you go up and find a little vista.
Yep. I mean, it's mostly an ARPG. It just has, 45% MMO.
Okay. It has
Maybe a little less, maybe 40.
Maybe
Makoko
40,
seeds.
60,
Makoko
60,
seeds is
40.
definitely an MMO thing.
Right.
45% seems high.
Well,
Oh, I got one. Emotes and the dancing and all that crap.
45%. We're slamming it back 45%. 45%.
Yeah, the emotes.
Okay,
I'll
There's
say-
a lot of emotes.
Wait,
and then
everybody
all the
listening,
different trophies.
everyone in chat, listen really quick. Mounts, open world, timed events, world boss, PvP areas, emotes.
Auction house.
No, auction
Well,
house.
no, yeah.
Mounts aren't actually an ARPG thing. They are an MMO thing.
What else am I missing? That's 6 things I just said.
Well, Sacred 2, okay, that's one game.
Yeah, I was going
Like,
to say Sacred if you go back
yeah,
in the Wayback Machine.
But the standard is waypoints.
Group locked content. What would be an example of group locked content in
Well, you
Diablo
can't-
4?
Oh, raids.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you could solo raids. You could solo the
No,
world
you
boss.
have to have 8 to go into a raid, don't you?
Do you?
In most games.
I don't know if that's the case in here.
The world boss. I don't know about that, but in MMOs you can't really. Not all. I don't think you could just go and solo. I think you need to have a certain amount to start them.
Maybe.
Was it Destiny 2 was like that? I think, or both of them really.
World was soloed a lot. Yeah, I mean with the rogue, which is kind of a, I guess, I don't know, broken class up to level 20, you could solo the world boss. I guess what I'm saying is like
You can solo older raids in WoW. That's true. That's true.
when I think of multiplayer locked content, that means like you cannot enter this area without 2 people, 3 people, 4 people.
Yeah.
Compared to, you're not strong enough to do it alone. I feel like those are different.
Sure. We're
Okay,
blocking.
I got PvP. I got PvP in my list of 6. I'm trying to think of other and I put emotes into that category.
Live service game.
Well, okay. Is it fair to say the stupid, you got to run around and click on all the statues? I consider that MMO because I just immediately think of Makoko seeds.
Well, that's a live
You
service game.
You need to add starter zones. Like literally, you just stay there until you're level whatever, a little zone. That's an MMO thing across the board.
All right. So if you add in starter zones and Makoko seeds, that gets us up to 8 MMO elements. 8.
Yeah. The fact that they're going to continuously add on to it, and not just, we're not talking just DLCs. It might be in big DLC packs. We don't know yet. Like what WoW does with its massive expansion.
I don't look at how much they've added on to PoE. I feel like seasons, expansions, DLCs. Look at Titan Quest. I think that crosses.
Yeah.
That crosses.
Massive.
Huge.
Yeah. Massive. Like when they make one, it's like a big update. And it took them 20 years to make one of them, or they waited.
Right.
All right. So, what tutorial zones leveling cross every genre ever? Daphne, you want to just say really quick what, like, maybe be a little more specific with your tutorial zone / levels cross every genre ever.
WoW, Guild War, every one I've ever played, Black Desert, they all have at least
Even
the starter zone.
Skyrim.
To an
So
extent, yes.
The,
Just like a zone
sewer.
where you have to go talk to the guy. You like create your character, you drop into the zone, you run to the center of town. There's a mage there. He's like, "I need you to kill these bugs. They're attacking the gardens." And then you go kill the bugs and attacking the gardens, and you go send you to get wood to go fix what they broke. Right? You do this kind of like tutorial, and then you leave the zone. They go,
Oh,
"Okay."
But could you
Daily
argue
quest,
on.
guys.
could you argue that is kind of like the open world part, right? Like it's not like a pathed game, it's more open.
No, it's
No.
literally stay here, do these quests,
Okay.
then leave. Then like you can always leave, right? You can always just leave for the most part, I think. But
about
generally, there's
the-
a set of quests that are in the first zone for you to complete, and then you get like an upgraded weapon, right? That's better than your gray weapon you start with.
Tech says,
There's
okay,
something
so
like
in
that.
D4 they mentioned you don't have linear path to follow, so you got to pick your way to the end. That was, and again, I kind of again, all that kind of ties into open world for me. Like you pick, you want to just go do dungeons the whole time. You could literally farm these enemies the whole time. You could follow the quest line. You could do side quests.
Right.
Like that is like you get to pick your path moving forward. Whereas in an action RPG, example, Path of Exile, you want to get to your maps. You have to traverse this campaign, this direction to get there. It is normally a pathed area. That doesn't make sense because I could just follow the Diablo 4 main quest to get there. Yes,
Well,
but you are
Diablo
not
Immortal, you
required.
follow the
You're not
dots.
required to.
Yeah.
And auto run, I think I didn't play it very long, but I think it had auto run.
But I will say there's also a gap. When I played MMOs a lot was in the early 2000s up through maybe 2012. That was about it. And I played Black Desert Online and a couple other things like Lost Ark since, but not really. So most of my knowledge comes from then and then seeing what happened now with Lost Ark and stuff. So it's a bit different than the old days with WoW and stuff, or Dark Age Camelot, what have you.
So, in the case of D4, is it more ARPG or is it more MMO?
It's more ARPG. But
I agree.
it's
So
close.
talking this
Yeah.
out in my head, because it has the isometric hack and slash loot hunt inventory
Mhm.
gear, Paragon board, skill tree, where you can modify skill progression
Right.
with the, whether it is a very limited crafting system and the stash tabs. It's
An augmentation system.
Yes, it has a more ARPG feel than MMO. This
Right.
might actually, because I'm trying to think in my
a
head,
hybrid.
like, because again, people call Lost Ark a hybrid, but this conversation
No, Lost Ark's an MMO.
and this like breaking it down, I actually can't think of a game like D4. In my head, I keep trying to think like what other
That's
game
what they're going for.
has what other
I would
game
think.
has 40% MMO elements. Some would argue, what are your favorite features of an MMO? And you've taken that and you've injected it in a full action RPG game.
I mean,
I
that's
can't think of any.
They're trying to recreate the game they,
No sense.
some would say started early on. There was a group of games, but they were definitely one of the pioneers for sure. So I don't know. Like I said, 1 year for me, see how the game settles in. I'm not hating the game. I just want to see how it plays out because it's supposed to be the next, the next great thing in history. And I've already
Okay.
gone over this with Diablo, waiting 10 years for the, iterations early on to come out, and you wait and you're like, okay, it's 3. When it came out, I was like, eh.
Now,
So,
some would
No
argue
sense.
that, even when you're at the top of your game, you have to continuously reiterate yourself. You need to push the boundaries so you don't become
Right.
stagnant. Because the second, complacency sets in, that's when you get passed up. And should Blizzard have made a D2, but with D4 visuals, all new lore, all new campaign, and kept it that true Diablo-like? Or was it smart of them to innovate and add in the MMO elements?
Financially, it was smart of them.
Yes.
I think so
they
too.
put a lot of research into what would sell the most. They did. It wasn't like they're like, oh, let's be artistic. They're not in the business of being artistic. They're in the business of selling video games.
Right. And I think Immoral was part of the plan just to kind of gauge their audience.
Well, didn't they just
Because-
reskin that? That didn't even take much.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
in the end.
They went back after the BlizzCon 2018. They went back and was like, we're getting killed. So they did change a lot of it.
Well, Diablo Immortal made a lot of money because it was immoral in its money making. It was
Yes.
it was like the Candy Crush of ARPGs.
It's the game that got streamers all worked up to spend thousands of dollars of their own money.
Tens of thousands and sometimes
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands.
I mean, whatever works, it's your cash, but that's what that
Right.
game ultimately did and became.
No, it was
That's it. I mean, some people might like it. If you do, it's cool.
Oh, Diablo Immortal made it in chat. Look at that.
Yes, it did.
well,
Yeah,
they
and
earned
this
that.
And after my first event where I got Necro to level 25 and I finally did my D4, I've now played it. Let's do my breakdown video. And I've said this multiple times, is that I don't think it's a great game. And I don't think it's a bad game. I don't even think it's an
Right.
average game. I put it in the good category. I
Good.
think that they were very safe, and they were safe on purpose. I think they cast a very, very large net to ensure that they got my son, who's 17, who really wants to play, but also the 60-year-old that grew up with the game that really wants
Yeah.
to play, to the families, to the couch co-op, to the console players, to the PC players, to the hardcore PoE players, but the casual weekend onlyers. I feel like they have literally somehow managed to take Diablo, which has the name of names in all of gaming
Right.
that's recognized, and be able to cater to almost all. Now, that being said, when you cater, when you get 80% of 100, it's normally better to get 100% of 80 is my whole thing. So I don't know if I think the game will feel more casual because of that, right? So the hardcore PoE person's going to be like, dude, there's no crafting. There's really no player driven economy. All of us are the exact same. So I do think there's going to be some of that feedback, but ultimately this game is going to make so much money, I think.
Well, it will, but here's
Yep.
why. Are there any other Bill Hicks fans watching? You guys watch any of Bill Hicks specials, his comedy specials?
No.
So he has a bit where he's the marketer. And he's like, oh, he's going for that self-righteous dollar. That self-righteous dollar. That's a good dollar. They literally do that. That's what they did.
Yeah.
They had marketing professionals like examinize the brains of the modern gamer and put together this Frankenstein's monster.
Yep.
And it worked.
It works. How did they?
Now-
I didn't. Hey, Aaron, quick.
Yeah.
Did the server thing? Like, did they find out what they needed to know?
There was
From
far less.
destroying the
There was
servers?
far less players in Server Slam. It almost kind of felt like you were playing alone.
Oh, really?
I think that's because you're really close to game launch, and there's some people that played 3 different events, and it's like, dude, how many
Right.
times am I going to replay the first campaign or the first act? And it was the same weekend that Zelda launched, so there's just some competition too. So it's like, I feel like most people got their fill and didn't need to come back. But I mean, my experience, I played to level 20. I streamed it for 6 hours one day, and I had no rubber banding. I had no connection issues. The game ran very, very smooth. And I don't know if that's because of changes they made to the game or the fact that there wasn't that many people playing. So I have no idea.
Maybe
enough.
that's it.
It's so hard to explain fun. I've always struggled with this. It's like, why do you like Torchlight Infinite? I
You
think
can't
it's
explain fun.
I think it's
There's
really
actually-
fun.
There is
I
a way
think
to
it's-
explain it.
I think it's
um,
fun. And Diablo
Individually,
4,
though, be different.
and Diablo 4, the first 20 levels, it just does like it doesn't.
So
it doesn't hook you. It's not like, dude, I don't want to go to bed. I got to
Right.
get the, like I don't
right,
like that.
that's the psychology of play.
And it
You're
could,
in the zone.
It could
Mhm.
maybe once I'm level 30, but I just like so far, at least the beginning part, it's not like, it hooks me in. I don't know how to
Yeah,
explain.
no, it hooks me in. That is literally, it's called the zone. That's when you're at play, when you're in the zone. That's like part of the definition. It's the psychology of play.
When you're in
And
it
they
and you're
use it to
trying
make
to
these
figure out
games.
stuff, you're talking to yourself in your mind, like, how can I do whatever?
Yep. Yeah, it
Push
could
you
be
forward.
running, it could be reading a book, whatever puts you
Yeah.
in the zone, that's your play. And if it's not putting you in the zone, then it's not fun to you. That's
True.
That's it.
And that's why what's fun for me is different for what's fun for everybody else in chat. And of the three of us, there'll be similarities, obviously. But, ultimately within there, the three of us, when we play like Last Epoch, there's different reasons why each of us likes it.
Yeah.
There's some crossing, but I get really into certain aspects. Aaron does others, guilty others. So yeah, it's just part of it. Hard to fine tune like what is fun though. It's quantify it.
In chat right now. Allergy, the first 20 levels of D4 suck. JFF, if you get 10 Xbox, you might get legendaries. I have a message held on Hogan. I went and made a barb and couldn't kill the girl's mom in the dungeon. It blocked your, because it says you put kill the girls in the chat. So anyways, I'm gonna allow that. Okay, the kill the girls.
Oh, is that what that was? I was like, okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't let him put it because it says kills the girls in the.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't kill the girl's
the
mom
word
either with
kill
my
was
necro.
Yeah, apparently you're not allowed to use the word kill.
Yeah.
I mean,
First open server with 6 legendaries down from the world boss. Keep me in the zone. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I like the cinematics. I like the story. I like the visuals. And I'm sure it'll get better. And I said this before. I said this actually on my last stream that if I was in its current version and I've never played it, was playing Last Epoch and you could only play Act 1 and you can only get to level 20, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I don't see anything special in this game. Like I don't like the first 20 levels. I don't know.
Right.
Like you're not even at mastery, then you're not even at end of time.
Right.
Yeah.
well, it's hard to say for us. I mean, if you have thousands of hours into it,
Exactly.
you can't really see. I will say that leveling Last Epoch characters is relatively painless. The learning curve is pretty gradual, I'd say, till a certain point, and then you can wreck yourself. But yeah,
My wallet won't be ready for
1 to
D4.
20 is nothing.
Tech says, Aaron, are you not interested in the Paragon board concept? No, I'm all for the Paragon board concept. I have nothing against the Paragon board concept. And seeing the breakdown of the Paragon board when Riker broke it down, I think the Paragon board's going to be fine.
It's Riker.
I do think, though, that being said, I don't think there's going to be enough character customization options in D4 to have, like right now, again, like I am a Last Epoch fanboy. You can clip that. I'll openly admit it, that you can go play Paladin and literally make probably 50, let's say 40 different builds that are probably fun that are Paladin. There is no way in heck Necromancer is going to have 40 builds, that are going to be fun. Like this game
might be right.
Whether you want to admit it or not, it will be very cookie cutter. Maybe
Just
it won't
like
be
Lost Ark.
It won't be the type of cookie cutter where D3, it's like sets. You wear this sets and then you use these skills. It'll be similar. It's just going to be on this Paragon. You take this, you take these skills on the skill tree and you go this route on the Paragon board. And here's your build, not clipping that. I only clip when you talk about Wilson.
Wow.
Man.
It doesn't seem just based off of what they've allowed people to see, that there's an extreme amount of diversity in build. But if they are
Yes.
planning on going more MMO with it and releasing, content every quarter, maybe it gets more complex.
It could. Or stay the same and it makes people like work together.
Or it could do what WoW did and go even simpler.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't want this to be a, and we're not supposed
No.
to be talking about the bash session on Diablo. Somebody asked me if I'm going to make a difference, D4 versus LE. I am planning a video on LE versus D4, but it's not going to be based upon like apples for apples game. I'm going to be comparing the Diablo 4 Necromancer compared to the last Epoch Necromancer. So that'll be my first
Why?
comparison.
You're gonna start there, Aaron.
That'll be my comparison.
Absolute greatness. That's what's going to happen in that video. Because
I know people are going to be so mad because I'm like
Wait,
already so geared up for it.
Shammy's like, no, do why PoE2 is better than D4 because PoE2 is better.
I have a
PoE2,
1-year-old
huh?
video of PoE2.
What this mythical beast called PoE2
It'll be coming. It'll be
that
coming.
leads to the same end game.
Okay. To wrap up this ARPG versus MMO, let's do a quick recap for anybody that wasn't here. We started off talking about last Epoch and what goes into what makes an ARPG. We then went over to World of Warcraft and talked about what makes an MMORPG. We went to Lost Ark, which crashed the stream. It was Lost Ark's fault.
boom.
And then we ended on D4, which through debate and through conversation and through the chat giving us the info we needed, determined that D4 in my head, and I'm sure there are others, but at least modern AAA is potentially the only game that, without knowing, has successfully merged these two genres in a way that might be ultra successful.
Could be.
Could be. And then, name will carry it. So
Cleanser, you're correct. I agree with you 100% on that.
1000% Blender. Sure, there are I think saying PoE,
Be a
copy,
fresh coat of paint.
paste, and then you're changing, I think, the skill systems a little bit. That's like the big change.
You can 6-socket everything eventually, because they're not all going to be 6 when you pick them up. So that will be different.
Right.
The way it looks and the UI's changed, the way slightly changed the way you can do those things. The campaign is different and it goes to the same end game. So there's some change, and I think was it 17 or 19 new ascendancies?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
And we're going to find out a lot. We're going to find out a lot about PoE2 fairly soon. What is it? Hollowbit. What's last Epoch? PoE last. Is it PoE's last season? Not a PoE player. No worries. It's last Epoch is one of my favorite, currently my favorite action RPG. It is its own full game. It is this. What's my favorite druid build that I have made? It's always whatever build I made last. So my favorite current druid build is my lightning werebear.
It's always like that with music. Even the same. It's like, that's my favorite song. Now that's my favorite song.
Exactly. Aaron, Marvel Omega was the first ARPG MMO, and it failed. Ooh. And, I guess we can go into this, and it'll be fairly fast. The question is daft and guilty.
Yeah.
Is, merging baseball and basketball, and then you get the movie Basketball. Okay. Right? Does that, is that a better sport, right? Is baseball by itself better and basketball by itself better? Or is merging that was a really good analogy off the top of my head. Is Diablo 4 in making the decision to go this route, should it be separate or is it better combined?
No.
Guilty. You go first. Actually, Daft goes first. He started talking before you. He already had a thought.
Yeah.
I would say no. That like game evolution can be game evolution. You know, it's kind of the way it works. And now that we have such a like connected world, a lot of things are merging and becoming, you know, and video games are just part of that. So I think it's, you know, par for the course. I don't see anything wrong with it because you do get some gems of, you know, you mix a couple different types of genres of games, especially if you play indie games a lot. You're going to get all these interesting games that you would have never seen before, even 5 years ago.
Right.
So I think it's overall good.
Well,
We're just talking about Diablo, and it's a massive company, so it's like a massive company eating up on all the other companies' ideas, and so that's kind of where like this, hey, but you're already popular. So there's like this part where it feels a little like get off my lawn, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, you have the was it the last two Zeldas, Breath of the Wild and whatever the new thing is called.
Right.
They took Zelda and kind of mixed it with like an Elder Scrolls type.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you had the weapon degradation and all that. That those weren't typically things that were in a Zelda game. They mixed that. Everyone's talking about Rocket League, which is, you know, absolutely accurate.
Right.
You've got those first person shooter MMOs like Destiny and was it Division?
Yep.
So this stuff works. It works when you mix things. Sometimes it doesn't. And I think that Diablo does it better, at least mixing MMO elements with the RPG than like maybe Lost Ark, because it's just an MMO.
Right.
Would you
Aside
agree?
from the isometric.
Would you agree? Because I'm seeing some chat in here that says, you know, we mixed cars with soccer and you've got Rocket League. Okay.
Right.
That's right. That's
My son loves that game.
right. That's
And
fair.
it's super competitive. Yeah. It's, you know, a cool game. Merging of two different types of game.
For Diablo, when we were talking about casting a large net earlier, when you don't focus on, you know, if you're focused on too many groups, you're focused on no one, right? So like, I guess my worry is that the MMO scene is like, oh, this is too much like an action RPG, and the action RPG scene is like, this is too much like an MMO. So it's like everybody's like, yeah, it's okay, but nobody's actually super happy. That's, you know, that's maybe that's what I'm getting at.
In my personal opinion, I'm going to need to play more of the game, but I was not thrilled. I was captivated by the builds and the pretty pictures for sure, and obviously the storylines, the cinematics, and all that, and how smooth the actual gameplay is. It's absolutely smooth. But in terms of gameplay, it was not putting me in the zone. Like, it's smooth, really, really, really good gameplay, but there was something about it that just didn't get me into the I want to keep on doing this.
And I'm only speaking by my own. Moxie, what's up, sir?
20 levels. It doesn't get fun until later.
Yeah, you know, it's like I'm playing and it's like, oh, combat's good, visuals are pretty good. You know, story and cinematics are good. Like, oh, you know, it's going to be a fun Diablo experience. And then it's like, now I'm in town and it's like side quest. Pull up your emote wheel to cheer on the soldiers that are fighting. I'm like, what? Like, what? Pull up the emote wheel. And then legitimately it is and then I pull up the console looking UI wheel in the center, and immediately I'm like, oh, right, that like, because that's my feeling. It's like, man, like that, and then it's like, to gather power, you must find all these little.
You hit pre-order.
Exactly, right, and then it's like, oh, find all these little statues, and they'll give you a power boost, and it's like, wait, so now they've added a Makoko seed part to the game, but it's not just for fun; it actually is power based. So now I am required to find all the Makoko seeds, right? And that's where it's just like, oh man, like now I love the action RPG elements, but now the MMO is so in my face
Hey,
that-
Perry, how are you?
that I
Yeah.
don't.
Howdy ho.
Here I'm going with this. Perry the Pig. Hello, everybody. Welcome from the raiding party. Tonight is This Week in Action podcast 66. Our debate tonight is we have been talking about what makes an ARPG, what makes an MMO. Can you successfully combine the two? And should you? And we're kind of at the tail end of it. So welcome all raiders. As long as you're following this channel, type in !giveaway, giving away a free copy of V Rising. And you could get in that giveaway today. And you could get in that giveaway on Friday's stream. And we will pull that free copy at the end of Friday's stream. As long as Diablo doesn't have raids or group required content, we chillin'. It
Kind
does-
of does.
Uh,
The world bosses.
Yeah, but you could solo the world bosses. I don't know because we haven't gone that far, but I haven't heard anything that is multiplayer required other than, I guess world boss is going to be multiplayer required unless you have a broken build or you could solo it. But people soloed it in the server slam and previously, so I don't know.
Oh, well, that's not fortuitous.
Debate tonight.
make it a
We're
little
all going to
hard.
crap on D4 while everyone's going to play next month anyways. Migs.
Nah.
Maybe
Don't
not.
crap on it.
I mean, it is true that I'm going to be playing it next month. So I'm not crapping on it. I simply stated the question. Is it better to have baseball by itself and basketball by itself? Or would you rather play basketball?
Aaron.
That's all I
if
said.
Aaron, if there was only one class in Diablo 4 and one class in the last Epoch, and it was the Acolyte or the Warlock, what would you play?
Oh,
the Necromancer.
yeah.
Which
Necro
one?
versus Necro. Which one?
If that was it,
Wait.
Solo
You're
game.
saying
And I
Wait,
have
wait.
an answer for Bear too.
D4 has a Necro, LE has a Necro, and that's it. It's a single player game. Let's just change the rules. Which one would you play?
Yeah,
I know which one, but
I know which
would
one.
it be the Diablo 4 Necro?
the Diablo 4 Necromancer. No, I was
You
about to
loved
say
it.
something. I was about to say something really not nice. The
Don't
Diablo 4
say it.
Necromancer in its current state is not as fun to play as a Necro in Last Epoch.
How diplomatic,
say.
Aaron.
Is that very
Um,
nice of me?
It was very nice. That was nicely put. I'm
Yes.
going to take it a bit further and say that the the werebear in D4 versus the werebear in Last Epoch, there is no comparison. One of them is an actual werebear build that's really fun, and the other is fine.
Moxie, my only true complaint with Diablo is the simplicity of the skill trees and that and truly having control over your abilities being locked behind RNG legendaries. I can't stop thinking about the Diablo 4 Necro compared to Ellie's. Ellie's is better in every possible
way.
way.
Every
Like
conceivable
literally there is
Well,
other than
The look.
visual, because
the visual
visuals
look
and
of the
visuals are opinion
actual
based.
druid.
There's nothing. There's literally complexity,
Not the bear.
options,
Bear sucks.
control, power, fun, everything. Like everything.
Yeah,
that's
light
less
years
diplomatic.
ahead of D4 is putting it nicely. The bear that you turn into in D4 looks like Bear from Bear in the Big Blue House with like toothpick legs.
Yeah.
Tech says,
definitely.
as for build, I think Ellie wins on almost any comparison. I mean, without having the
Let's-
Paragon board, from
Right.
what I have,
it
whatever,
a
from what
fair.
I've known, yes. See, somehow this is what happens. We're talking about MMO and AR. Now we're just talking about D4. Oh, it sucks, or it's great, or oh, it doesn't have this, and then it's
This was all Daft's fault.
this is the natural progression
He
of how it
asked a
goes.
logical question.
Yes, I did. I'm so sorry.
And it's,
Yeah,
Which
you
one
know.
is more fun?
it's probably already sold 20 million pre-orders, and it doesn't. None of this even matters. Like they're just.
And 2 million of those pre-orders probably never get played. Just
Yeah.
like
Oh,
they
yeah,
just-
that you
people
can
that
imagine
buy
that's the way it
games and
always
just
is.
never. I mean, I have Steam games that I've never played because it.
I have Steam games I don't know I have.
Yeah, because they come with bundles, or you just play it once and then never play it again. You go on your Steam, it's like last played 2012. Oh, what's in this little group? You find all these games and they're like, let's pull this one out and play that again.
Ooh, look at
Bundle,
this.
Right.
Moxie, I played LE Druid and prep for D4 Druid beta weekend. Had never played a Druid before. The transition was pretty rough. Stormbug. Ugh. Ellie Werebear's light years ahead of D4.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of Ellie love in this chat, and I gotta say it warms my heart.
The character development, I think, is pretty solid in Ellie, and so that's gonna be.
I mean, I am going to be I'm gonna be maining Necro in Diablo, and I feel like they designed the class to not be fun. I don't know any other way to say it. It's just like it's
let's make a crap class.
It's just freaking. I'm on my soapbox, and now I have to finish. Okay, listen. In Diablo 4, in Necro's current state, this is Daft's fault. You have to create corpses to make your summons. Okay. Oh, a lot of games do. That's how it is in PoE. Blah blah blah. Okay. So when you start the game, you don't have corpses. So you have to somehow go kill something in order to make your summons. So you still have to have something. If you cannot kill anything, you cannot make your minions. Okay, so just right off the bat, you have to be able to kill things to make your minions.
Those are no fun.
First point. Second point. Since you have to make corpses to make your minions, it forces you to make a build that generates corpses. Okay. So now the game is telling you, hey, you want to make minions for your necromancer. Well, guess what? You're going to need corpses, and guess what? You're going to need a corpse generating skill. Okay. So it's telling me I have to go that route. Okay. Right. On top of that, your minions, you cannot resummon. So you just got done with the big fight and all your minions have 25% life. Guess what? You cannot remake them. You can have 100 corpses around you and you cannot remake them. Now you can heal them really slowly, but you just can't instantly remake them. That's point number 3. Point number 4. Okay. In a boss fight, when all your minions get wiped out, you can't remake them. Yes, you can regenerate corpses through your corpse generating skill, but it takes forever. Okay. Next point, you cannot direct your minions. Inside of D4, there are multiple times where you have to get out of the way of a boss's mechanics, even hide behind a shield. Mm-hmm. You can't hide, you can't move your minions to hide behind the shield. So what happens? All your minions die. And then you have to remake them all again.
Sounds fun, right, guys?
Fun.
Isn't it the most fun that it could be?
On top of that, visually, they are bigger and taller than you, which is just weird. And they're glowing blue. They're not like bloody and small. Like visually, they should be inside of a torch. They should be inside of a torch-like game.
Beach.
And
just beating it down. Like,
anyways.
And for my next point, I don't have that many points about the bear.
I think I said too much. I think I said too much. But I do prefer the last Epoch minions. Because everything
you do prefer the last Epoch minions?
So everything I just said, you know, you can do in last Epoch. Okay, I'm gonna sit back in my chair now and let Guilty say something. No, get down, say something. Don't let Guilty say anything.
I don't have to say anything. You said enough.
You said plenty.
Yeah.
More affirming my thought that you don't really need to make that video because
maybe not. Just rip from this.
I can see the whites in his eyes.
Make a class that you don't love, like the paladin.
He didn't play GD's Necro, I don't think, because if he did,
no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Is this an April Fool's joke again?
Although he should probably play a cultist. I
But
think he'd
you
like
could
it.
do, Aaron, maybe greatest necro of all time type video and do like the best 5.
That's a good one.
Dawn, you know,
Moxie,
LE,
but
you throw D4,
yeah, but control
D2.
of your minions is future technology in Diablo 5. Ooh. And it's so funny because then it's like my minions suck, right? So it's like, okay, I'm not going to focus on minions. I'm going to go into Bone, and Bone Necro actually feels really fun and strong. But then if I'm picking Necro to be a caster, why wouldn't I just pick a source? Or like, it's so bad.
Well, you take Necro
It's
and then you take Necro and then you go Death Knight with it.
I literally pick Necro and I'm using Bone, and then I spec into Skeleton Mages because Skeleton Mages can, on their hits, generate essence for you. So I'm literally using my minions to generate a resource so that I could shoot. It's just horrible. It's horrible.
Do you think it was like the first thing they thought about, and then they never like did any like models, and then they're like, oh, we're ready to release, and they're like, no, we're not. That's just like a prototype. And they're like, no, we're definitely releasing for beta. And they're like, please, no, stop.
I don't know. Aaron, you're killing the D4 Necro. I'm sorry. I don't do it on purpose. I played the event to level 25, and then I played the event server slam to 20. I've only played Necro. I haven't played any other classes. I feel like I'm very versed in that class. And obviously maining Necro in Last Epoch, it's like such an easy comparison. And it's like, oh, and everything I mentioned, it doesn't matter if you're level 100 or level 10, because it's the function of Necro will never change. Your minions might be stronger, so you could kill more stuff or stay alive more, but the actual function of them, everything I mentioned, will never change. Lady Medusa said Blizzard's going to cancel Aaron.
Tectonics says Blizzard 101 equals how to mess up a good thing. I would say Blizzard 101 and how to mess up a good thing is gold coin. Stand by for that thing in here. They find a way to work that gold coin in.
Aaron, you were muted. Can you repeat, please? No, Aaron, when LE pops off and you blow up because of it while D4 burns in a dumpster fire, you better remember the OGs who are here in LE with you from the rip. Oh, I will remember
87.
that.
I heard through the grapevine of random Diablo stuff I hear that the Rogue's considered the best class in the game.
Rogue is the one class that could solo the world boss. Rogue is the one class that could solo the world boss hardcore on tier 2 world. Which, by the way, the tier 2 world boss is practically unkillable with an 8-person party. So that shows how good Rogue is.
But I wouldn't know.
That seems super balanced, everybody. Although, for beta, that I would hope they adjust those things.
Ew, still D5. Wait, I'm going back to Torchlight Infinite. At least you can aim my minions to explode into the army I want. There you go.
Yes.
I enjoyed Warlock and Deceiver in Grim Dawn. Love the Chaos Ray, Tainted Flame with Black Flame set. Blizzard 101, how to mess up a good thing. Oh man, I really got everyone going.
Got everybody all riled up, put a little fire under their feet. Didn't tell them.
Interesting you say that, because Necro is currently the most popular class by pick percent and has been very, very strong. I put a survey on my YouTube channel, and it was, what class will you play if Diablo launched today or something like that? And I believe Necro is actually winning it. And again, I want to be clear, everything I said has nothing to do with the strength of Necro. I was talking about the class in general, like fun factors and comparing how it actually functions compared to Last Epoch. 3,200 votes. 3,200 votes right now. Favorite Diablo 4 class. Necromancer comes in number 1 with 27% of the vote. It's pretty evenly split, but Necro is number 1.
Yeah.
Is it Rogue with 2 or 22?
Well, that's, it's classic.
It's also like, yeah, exactly. It's like a classic fun.
Oh, yeah. Druid's losing. Yeah.
Melee characters are typically second.
Not all games are LE. The LE Druid's good.
Is the rogue in D4 melee based or is it ranged?
Traps and it can go range. You could use bow or dagger, I think.
Okay. Little mixture.
I know.
I haven't really looked into it. So
It's also your YouTube, which is necro content. That's fair.
I'm just saying,
That's all fair. Yeah.
the comments are going to be super interesting for this. I can't wait to read those.
Could be. Beating.
Oh,
Sweet baby Jeebus.
Necro's number one because it's your main and many people follow it for you. I think everyone's I agree. And again, everything that I said about Diablo 4's Necromancer, that's not opinion based. That is factual. You cannot move your minions. You cannot resummon them without corpses,
Necro felt like ass in D4. That's Reef Diver 90.
Did any other classes get emergency hot fixes over the weekend like the Necro did?
I don't think so. Yeah, because I think Daft, you're also right that Necromancer across all action RPGs is just in general a fun, popular class to play.
Right.
I just think it's just
people
fun.
like undead things. They like casting.
They're used to a certain play style for it too.
Yeah.
And when you don't do that, you're brave.
And I'm spoiled because I really like Last Epoch's Necro. So it's just such an easy comparison to man, I just wish I could do more. I'm done. I'm not talking about Diablo 4 anymore.
But tell us how you really feel.
Dude, I should just do next podcast. It's a D4 breakdown. Oh my gosh. I just want to blow my brains out. I think most of the classes in LE are great. I played Mage in D4 beta and it was all right, but LE is easier to play.
No, Aaron, we have to do the equal levels of cash LE Diablo 4.
I would love to see Aaron run minions in Grim Dawn.
I am more than willing to make and we could do that. We could say end of June. What we love about Last Epoch, what we hate about Last Epoch, what we love about D4, what we hate about D4. And I'd love to have that debate. The only problem is I'm the only one that have played D4 because these guys, that kick them out for that one. I'll bring in
You told me I had to play it.
I said you should play it.
No, I don't believe that's the word you used.
That is. I'm 2 hours.
Threatened.
In 2 hours, I'm late. Not enough time. Okay. I think as a gamer about to turn 50, I have to say that there is something comforting about watching a podcast with gamers who aren't 30 years younger than me for a change. Still younger than me, but still, hey.
You'd be surprised.
Actually.
A little bit.
Aaron's what's 62 now?
I just turned 38. Okay. But I have a wife and 4 kids. So I'm basically, 60 years old. So
60-year-old man down there.
Oh, Last Epoch is shockingly good. Like you wouldn't expect how awesome its crafting, build crafting, etc. would be, hoping endgame diversity increases. Yep. And
Aaron has 4 kids. It's correct.
I do have 4 kids. Does. That is correct. 17, 14, turning 11, and 8. All 3 years. LE for press. Now, I can't divulge. This is good. We'll end on Last Epoch. Get out of this Diablo stuff. I can't divulge any information about Last Epoch 1.0. That being said, what is publicly known is that they are shooting for a 1.0 release of the game, which they think as of now is still possible. We are not getting any new end game systems, which means the game will launch with the monolith, the dungeons, and the arena. But they are going to be newer, updated, better versions of said systems. So they're going to be adding randomization and more to the monolith. They're going to be adding more dungeons. And obviously we're going to be getting ladders for arena, right? So it's Technically, we're not going to be getting more end game systems for the full game release, but we will be getting enhanced end game systems. And they do have 2 more end game systems in the works. They're just not going to be
Everybody
ready for
likes
1.0.
too. Yeah,
and
new
everybody
echo types.
likes enhanced things.
Enhanced. They want to add a
Well-
lot of random lists to the monolith is really what it is.
Yeah.
I
On
like
top
that
of
idea.
that, we'll be getting 3 masteries, Rune Master, Warlock, and Falconeer. We're going to be getting the 3 passive trees. We're going to be getting 24 more skills. We're going to be getting factions, Circle of Fortune, and Merchants Guild. We're going to be getting more uniques, and all 2D art is going to have the 3D render for set uniques in game. So, and then they say polish, right? Polish is all the balancing and, you know,
Pretty lights.
server stability, all that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
it is certainly going to be a lot that is still coming. And everything that I mentioned is currently being worked on. So
Okay, so
it's going to be good.
are you? You keep
This
on getting
year-
requests to play GD's Necro.
It's not,
Throwing that out there.
it's never about
Yeah.
like a want. Like, it's just more about time.
Throwing it out
How long
there.
would it take me to get a Necro and Grim Dawn to a place that's fun and streamable?
You can
Um,
you can power
you can
boost,
power level,
and there
yeah.
are also the potions that give you plus 100% experience. I'm sure you have a tune that's already up to the Steel
You
District.
could also use, I forget the name of it, the mod that you can use that speeds up the, it doesn't cheat, it just speeds up the game.
Speeds up the leveling.
Like the movement
Like
level.
Titan Quest, put it
Well,
to
like the
max
movement-
speed.
It's a mod
Yeah,
that Titan Quest does. Yeah.
Yeah, you can, you know, like your run, your
natively,
movement
you know.
speed and everything else is, it just the game's way faster and you can scale the game pretty quick that way.
Mox, everything I just mentioned is scheduled for this year. All of it. Everything I mentioned
Yeah.
this year.
I've got a dervish that can carry him pretty far.
My guess is a Christmas surprise is my actual
Ravager
guess.
killing
is
dervish.
is a December release.
Yes, JFF 44. I played Grim Dawn from the way like 2013. That was when I left Diablo 2. I was playing Grim Dawn after that, and then Path of Exile, kind of early Path of Exile at the same time. So, but yeah, Grim Dawn's my main squeeze from the old days.
Yeah, Grim Dawn's fantastic. So is Titan Quest though. But I would say Titan Quest is still more difficult, maybe because of its clunkiness.
Interesting fact, Crate, which made Grim Dawn and working on Farthest Frontier studio has it's a studio of 16 people.
16
team.
now.
Crate is made of 16 people. EHG, which only makes Last Epoch, has 110 plus.
Yeah, but they made most of the game with way less than that.
Freaking crazy. I want to
Yeah.
try that Warhammer Inquisitor. Dude, Spartan Gear,
Great game.
buckle up.
That's
Once
fun.
we get the news for season 7 for Inquisitor, we will be
Oh,
doing community
hit
runs.
hard.
So you will
Hit
know
hard.
about it once I know
Here.
about it.
I
That's
linked the
gonna do it.
Discord. Go to
Yep,
that
yep.
Discord if you guys want to play any of these games. It's
Yeah,
right
play
there.
with us.
Come hang out. We play games together when you can
Oh.
and stuff like that.
There's a community Grim Dawn season about to start on the 19th. So
There you go.
Very, very cool. All right, everybody. Sorry about the problem midstream. It was my fault. I had to reset my router. I apologize. Very unprofessional. Very unprofessional. Great stream as I knew it was going to be a good discussion. I was like, ooh, this is going to be a fun one today. Sorry about my D4 rant. I plan on playing it. I plan on buying it. My wife and son want to play it, and I want it to be great. I'm just spoiled by Last Epoch's Necro, and comparison is not a good comparison. So what we're going to be doing now is for all you lovely Patreons out there, all the likes, shares, comments, all the support and interaction. I could not do this without you, and I really, really mean that. But the people that have taken that extra step, and the Patreon is right now in chat, you 71 lovely people. We're going to be switching over to our bonus hour, which is Patreon only. I get asked all the time, Aaron, what is the best way to support you? And Patreon is the best. On top of that, you get access to the Aaron Action RPG YouTube channel, which is for VIPs only. And when the first video is coming to that channel this week, it's going to be my studio tour. So I want to give you some exclusive content there. You also get access to the VIP lounge in Discord. You get the special title in Discord. You get the extra wheel spins at the end of the month to get custom merch. You get access to the bonus hour, which we're going to do right now. It's awesome. You could also get access to the VIP chat, and you have the ability to live stream audio and video with me weekly. So lots of good stuff in Patreon. Way to give back to you and support the channel. So check it out. That's all I've got. Guilty. You were on pretty good behavior tonight. Yeah,
You're the one that did the bad stuff tonight.
I was the one ranting about D4 Necro. I am very proud of you. Patreons,
Yep.
You'll see the link within 5 minutes for the bonus hour in VIP
Probably gonna
chat.
rant
Guilty, you get the final word. Go ahead, sir.
Come join us in the Patreon only, everybody. It's fun, and we're a little bit more spicy. Me,
Which
specifically.
Doesn't seem
I'm
possible.
allowed to say things there.
Mm.
He hits me when I don't.
Not hard.
Not hard.